Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hutchinson City Council meeting for Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. Call the meeting to order. Approve the council agenda. Any agenda additions or corrections?
Mayor and Council, we're going to remove item 7E from the agenda. I think the mayor just needs a little bit more time before bringing those appointments back to the council for consideration. Otherwise, everything else looks good. 70, yeah. So everything under 70.
We'll take that.
E?
70. Yep, that's the board appointments.
Okay. Motion to approve with 7E pulled.
Second.
Motion by Tim, second by Pat to approve the agenda with those removed. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Invocation. We'll just have a moment of silence, please. Next is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Recognition of gifts, donations, and community service to the city. Does anyone have anything tonight? Alrighty, we have a bunch of things underneath there tonight. We have proclamation for Bike Month. So, whereas over 60 years, the month of May has been recognized as National Bike Month by the League of American Bicyclists to promote bicycling as a healthy, fun, and sustainable form of transportation and recreation. And whereas the City of Hutchinson, proud silver level bike friendly community, continues to support safe and accessible bicycling through community events, education, and ongoing investments in trails and infrastructure. And whereas the local organizations, schools, businesses, and community groups actively support participating in Bike Month activities throughout May, and whereas the Hutchinson Trail System, including the Loose Line State Trail, provides safe and enjoyable opportunities for recreation, commuting, and outdoor activity, and whereas bicycling contributes to improved public health, a strong local economy, and higher quality of life for residents and visitors, and whereas promoting bicycle safety and awareness helps ensure that bicyclists and motorists can share the road responsibility. Now, therefore, be resolved that I, Gary Forcier, Mayor of Hutchinson, Minnesota, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2026 as National Bike Month in Hutchinson, Minnesota. Be it further resolved that the City Council encourages all residents to celebrate by riding safely and participating in local Bike Month activities. And we have another one, Provider Appreciation Day. Whereas Child Care Award of American organizations nationwide are recognizing child care provider on this day. And whereas the child care system supports children's growth and development and educational advancement while creating positive economic impact for all families and communities, and whereas child care provides are essential to health of our communities by fostering safe and welcoming spaces, supporting working families, and creating enriching environments for children developing lifelong skills. And whereas the City of Hutchinson recognizes recognizes that childcare has been and continues to be a lifeline for families, communities, and the economy. And whereas support for the affordable, accessible, high-quality child care represents worthy community to help families work, support child healthy development and learning, and to keep our economy growing. Now, therefore, I, Gary T. Forcier, Mayor of City of Hutchinson, hereby proclaims May 8th, 2026 as Provider Appreciation Day in Hutchinson, Minnesota, and urge all citizens to recognize child care providers for their important work and how valuable they are for our communities. Alrighty, then we have a couple resolutions underneath there. We have resolution number 16026, resolution accepting $2,845 donation from the VFW Post 906 to the Hutchinson Fire Department for AED and auxiliary equipment at the fire station.
Cameron, just one of your still one at a time.
Sorry?
One of your stools, one at a time, because I
Yeah.
know we got somebody here we recognize. So.
Yeah. We would like to have a motion for that.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Pat to accept that donation from the VFW Post. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. And we have resolution number 16027, resolution accepting $4,230 donation from the Hutchinson Rotary Foundation for the 2 new park benches at Rotary Park.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Pat, second by Dave to approve. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries.
It's Corey. Do it. Corey, you here from the Rotary? Yeah.
Yeah, you can come forward and you're gonna present a check for the Rotary.
Yes, I thought I would just come on behalf of Rotary and say that we're excited for the fundraising efforts that we've done and to have these 2 new park benches, and we'll be doing park cleanup soon and more updates to come. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I can grab a picture of you guys.
Can we cash that?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have resolution number 16028, resolution accepting $50 donation from Bruce and Gladys Lickfeld to the Hutchinson Police Department for equipment purchases.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Tim, second by Dave to approve. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both say nay. Motion carries. Public comment, citizens addressing council, just please come forward and state your name and address for the record. If you want to address the council, this is the time. Alrighty, we have the approval of minutes. We have the regular meeting minutes of April 14th, 2026.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Pat, second by Tim. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Content agenda, this will be done on motion unless somebody pulls something off for discussion. A is approval of sanitary sewer main repair on 9th Avenue Northeast. B is approval of issuing short-term gambling license to the McLeod County Pheasants Forever on May 15, 2026 at the Bob and Bobber Brewery Company. E is approval of issuing short-term gambling license to the Shady Lane Sportsman's Club on July 12th and 13th, 2026. D is issuing temporary liquor license to the,
We might have to have the vice president.
I got all choked up here about
I
this
don't know.
stuff. So, didn't realize it was that.
all right. D is issuing temporary liquor license to the High Island Conservation Club on July 12th and 13th, 2026 at McLeod County Fairgrounds for the National Power Pole. F is claims appropriation contract payments register A.
Motion to approve council agenda 1.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Pat, second by Chad to approve. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those say nay. Motion carries. Consent agenda 2, myself, or actually my son, and has a check on there, and I think Chad has one on for his business, so we'll probably be abstaining from the vote.
Motion to approve consent agenda 2.
Second.
Motion by Pat, second by Tim to approve with myself and Chad abstaining. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those say nay. Motion carries. We don't have a public hearing. We, communications, planning, zoning, building department, very end report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. Here to give you the 2025 report of our planning, zoning, building department. And hopefully it doesn't take more than an hour.
Better vote.
Now I know I got choked up. Dan's here.
Sorry about that, Gary.
All right, thanks.
So this is just an overview of our department staff. I'll quickly like to highlight the staff. They do a great job for not only the city, but the customer service they provide and for the residents. Obviously, I'm the director, Kyle Detmer, building official, Dave Hallquist, building inspector, Andrea Schwartz, planning building specialist, Roseanne Johnson, planning building assistant, and JJ Verhey, city facility manager. Each of those does a great job in helping the city move along. In general, just to give you an overview of what we do, the building department's responsible for plan review, building inspections, rental inspections, enforcement, permit administration, education, and prevention of the state building code. That's something of the community our size, we're required to adopt the state building code and have that. Sometimes people wonder why we have certain rules, and a lot of those are from the state of Minnesota. 2025 was a good year for the building department. Again, lots of things going on. The big project this year for us was that landing apartment project. Here's a quick overview of the building permits we've issued over about the last 10 years or so. You can see for the most part they're pretty stable other than 2017. That's when we had the big hailstorm. 2018 is also people still finishing up their roofs from the 2017 hailstorm. But in general, we issue between probably a little over 600 and about 800 permits in a year, and that's a normal year for us. Construction valuation. There's a little bit of a correlation between the amount of inspections we do and permit valuation, but it's not necessarily exact. This last year, there was $37.8 million worth of construction valuation done. So that's not what we collected in fees, obviously. That's the value of the projects that were added to the tax base of the community and that we inspected. So yeah, you'll notice that 2023 and 24 were a little bit down. However, 25 was very similar to really probably the last 4 years prior to 2023 or so. We're expecting 2026 to probably be in that neighborhood of what it was in 25 again. Here's the number of inspections that we do. I noted the permits issued on the last one. You can see for the amount of valuation we had in 2025, we didn't have as many inspections, and that's just relative to the type of projects that are done. Some require more inspections, some are less, depending on the type of project that it is. This is kind of a big one people always are talking about is the amount of new units that are constructed in the community. You'll notice that last year we had 23 new homes built in Hutchinson, really quite similar to the 3 years prior to that. 2020 and 2021, during the kind of COVID time, were real busy years in construction, as was 2018. But other than that, we're kind of in that consistent, mid-20s or so range for homes built. It would be nice to maybe be more up in that mid-30s range in terms of just more activity, but it seems like generally speaking, we're falling into that mid-20s or so range for new homes built per year. This is kind of an interesting chart. This is comparing us to other communities. So obviously you've got the Waconias in there, and we're not trying to compare ourselves to them, just kind of an idea of what some of the high growth communities get. Monticello, Buffalo, up on kind of that 94 Northwest Metro corridor get a lot too. But if you look at Hutchinson here with our last 5 years or so, New Prague's a pretty good sized community. We're seeing more housing activity than they are, a lot more than Wilmer in terms of new housing starts, more than Northfield generally speaking, more than New Ulm, more than Marshall, more than Red Wing. So from the regional center standpoint, we're doing quite well in terms of the amount of housing that we're doing here. And I think obviously there's more maybe demand out there yet, but I think it's just good to notice what other communities are doing. And sometimes people say, well, we need more, and that's true, but a lot of these other places, they have a demand for more housing, but it's for whatever reason it's not getting delivered. Another thing I'll note, I shared this with Matt, but the Star Tribune did every year they do a hot housing index, and they have different categories that they measure that by. It's not just on how many homes are built and whatnot, but Hutchinson was 34 on the list statewide of the hot housing communities. So it's just interesting, I guess, to see that we were on that list. And I think it has to do with how quick things sell, how many new homes are built, things on the market, things like that. So yeah, that was interesting to be on that list, and maybe it's a sign of things to come.
So Dan, with Waconia, with that bigger growth, how were they keeping up on infrastructure?
Oh, I think, in the metro area, you've got the Met Council that does the wastewater side of things. So they have their mains and such that are sized, and they look out 20, 30 years to plan those. So the water system's probably easier to manage from a city perspective than wastewater. But each development, does similar to what we do here. But generally speaking, I think most of those communities really on that whole Southwest Metro are pretty well positioned for infrastructure and growth. I believe.
Yeah, I think if you look at, so you got Buffalo, Monticello, which is Wright County.
Yeah.
Waconia, is that Carver or is it Carver?
Carver, yeah.
So I think some of those they've been used to probably this type of growth. So they plan with the idea that they're probably going to be building 150 to 200 homes a year. Where I think if we were in that same boat, I think our planning would be a little bit different than what it is today. And so just knowing some of those, the Buffaloes and the Monticellos of the world, they've been growing for 20 years, and even Waconia for that.
Yeah, they all have, yeah.
So I think they've,
Yeah.
so when you ask about the infrastructure, I think that's been a part of their planning now for quite some time. So,
Yeah. I think it's important to note too that, the Waconias, that's not that far from here. Carver, Victoria, Chaska, all those I think were in the top 10 in the state for growth. And obviously every year that there's more growth, it kind of comes more this way. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes you don't want to necessarily get run over by that growth. And I'm not saying that we will, but it's nice to take advantage of more growth for the community when it makes sense. So any other questions regarding anything I covered so far? lot inventory, this is a big one. We've got about 87 lots available right now. About 10 of those lots I feel like they're available, but they seem like people have been sitting on them for a long time. Maybe eventually they'll get built, but they're not being actively marketed per se. Elk Ridge Estates was a big one last year. It's about 35 or so lots. And then there's another 30 in phase 2 that haven't been final platted yet. And then generally speaking, you want a 4 or 5 year lot supply. So we're a little shy of that. If we figure 25 homes a year, times 4, obviously that's 100, maybe to 125. And we've got about 87, but really maybe only 77. So theoretically we could use a little bit more development. And I think in 2027, we could see some of that happen if some of the developers I've been talking to move forward with some ideas that they may have. A little bit of an overview of just that, how we got to that $37.8 million valuation. New home construction took, the 23 new homes were valued at $7.5 million. So obviously you can see the price of each home is increasing. Obviously we've noticed that over the last 5 years for sure, but even before that, that landing project, 4.5 or so million. Walmart did a larger project, and then McKim Transit built a building about $1 million. So there's a lot of other smaller projects involved in the 38 million as well, but that's a highlight of the larger projects we saw this year. So just a little bit of a quick overview on, that was some of the building department, planning and zoning. Big piece for us was that Elk Ridge Estates development. We hadn't had a development of that scale in probably 20 years. So just getting into that mindset again of development review and making sure we have everything figured out in that regard. Took a little maybe longer than it would if we were in the position where we're seeing 2 or 3, 4 of those a year. But overall, it seemed like it went well, and it looks like a good product out there. The landing, that was also a really big one. You guys will recall that. A lot of coordination with the DNR, various entities, CDA, developer, and looks like it's really coming along nice over there. Seems like it's going to be a good asset to the community, and hopefully a good example of maybe other projects can follow in terms of redevelopment or just infill or new development for that matter. Sherwin-Williams went in on the south end of town. I believe that opened here recently as well. And then just a lot of general development related meetings and coordination. The summer was crazy with just a lot of different things going on. And then a lot of it is just working with the various other city departments that, just like to say, are very well organized and do a great job. It's a pleasure to work with the people we have here at the city to deliver these projects. And then one other big piece is the city continues to be involved in the Hutchinson Area Joint Planning Board. That's the area that oversees development in the 4 townships surrounding the city in kind of a 2-mile radius or so. Just finishing up here now, 2026 has been off to a fast start. We got the hospital emergency room, that farmhouse memory care facility, which is really a nice project up on that north end of town. I know Gary was up there, I believe, for the ribbon cutting, and it seems like that's going to be a nice project and be a good fit for what the community needs for that sector. North Maple Apartments, that started here recently. If you've driven by there, there's been a lot of activity with some tree removal and grading and such. And then the Jorgensen Hotel demolition is getting going here shortly as well. Seems to be a lot of other discussion about more stuff potentially coming, but at this point, those are the ones we know about. So with that, I'd like to open it up for any questions you might have.
No, looks good. You said that, I noticed up there, you said 2027. Are there potential more housing developments
Yeah.
that are possible?
Yes. We have some land that was kind of laid out back pre-recession that's kind of sitting there and been kind of looked at, and different plans have come forward. And I think probably in 27, it looks like something might actually happen on that project. And then potentially on the north end of town, not with the group that we were working with, but potentially a new group for that other site off of Golf Course Road. If
Is
something
that
could break loose.
sits property, has anything been proposed for that? Or-
No,
It hasn't
not-
been zoned or anything, has it?
Well, it's zoned.
I mean, it's zoned, but.
Yeah, but it's R1. We haven't had any official review on that or any development proposals. I think the thought is that, you know, until that Elk Ridge Estates project gets kind of more built out, that it probably doesn't make sense to do another residential project until that other one is done or almost done. So that's out there yet, probably for, you know, a few years out.
Is there, how many projects is going in Elk Ridge? I think there's 2 houses up already, and I see another one's going up. Huh?
Yeah, I think there's about, you know, there's a twin home and a single, and then I think we've issued at least 2 more permits and maybe a couple more in the works. I'm thinking hopefully this year they can maybe get 6, 8, you know, built in there. I guess it'll just depend on how things go, but it's certainly a nice development as are some of the other ones in town. And overall, I think it's like 62 lots with both phases, but right now there's about 30 something that are in and platted.
Yeah, and Dan, that kind of answers Pat's question too. There's only half of that Elk Ridge has been actually, platted out?
Generally speaking, you do them in a couple phases, so that they're working on phase 1 and then they'll come into phase 2 when phase 1 gets more full.
Is that open to all contractors, or sometimes those, I know they're tied into just,
I'm not sure what the arrangement is. I think, you know, Mr. Reiner's kind of the developer, and then he has crews that he has, and then I think maybe they might work with a few other builders. If people, if they're interested, they should check in with the developer on that.
Any other questions for Dan?
Good job.
Thanks.
Thank you
for your
very
support.
much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for keeping it under an hour. So,
Well, it's got under there. It's a nice day. I figured I'd let you out early.
You didn't give them the hook, Pat?
I didn't.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't see any. Appreciate that.
Alrighty, we don't have any unfinished business. Under new business, setting budget workshop for May 26, 2026.
yes, it is already almost May. And so,
Woo-hoo.
looking at the end of May, that's kind of the kickoff to the start of our budgeting process. So we're looking at that second meeting in May to set that workshop for 4:00 prior to our regular meeting.
I make a motion to set that meeting.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by Pat to set that workshop for the first budget meeting.
Yippee.
Motion by Chad, second by Pat.
Yep.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Governance, we have the City of Hutchinson Financial Report and Investment Report for March of 2026. Hutchinson Housing and Redevelopment Authority Board Minutes from March 17th, 2026. Chief Gipperson, you got anything for us tonight? Mike, you got anything for us? Construction started?
Next week, Edmonton starts, and then about a month from now for the village co-op period.
Alrighty,
Edmonton starts on Monday.
alright. Dan, you got anything else for us?
Not unless you want me to use my other 45 minutes.
Oh, what's the score update?
9-1.
9-1.
9-1. Good guys.
The good guys? Did your son jack one out then? Mark, you got anything for us tonight?
Nothing tonight.
Matt, you got something for us?
Just 2 quick things. One, we're working on a joint workshop again between the EDA, Hutch Utilities, and the City Council. You may recall we had that probably about a year ago in June, I think. We talked about trying to do that at least once a year, so we're working on trying to get that scheduled, get some dates together for you guys to consider on that. And then just another plug, we've got out there the So You Want to Be a Council Member class that I put on. That's May 20th at 5 o'clock. If anyone's interested, and I kind of walk through the life of being a council member, what to expect, some of the do's and don'ts, and kind of just life of being an elected official. So if anybody's maybe interested in running for our office, it gives you a pretty good idea of some of the expectations of what you can look forward to if you do decide to run and get elected. But you can either just call me or email me. to get signed up for that. But once again, that's, I think it's a Wednesday night at 5 o'clock on May 20th. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Chad, let's start with you tonight.
I didn't have anything extra.
All right. Timmy,
Just into the May, remember it's Memorial Day at the end of the month, so I'm sure the Veterans Organization will be preparing for that, so follow up for more information. I think the paper always covers it, and more information. The Sustainability Committee met, it's been a while, so we went through the Emerald Ash Board, on where the budget was for that and how we're sitting. And I think they said they had about 400 trees left, and the budget was adequate to cover that right now. So sitting in a good position there. One of the discussions is citizens with it, not on the boulevard, and they have those trees in their yards. Once that hits, it hits fast. And you know, you showed a picture of it. And so we had that discussion about just, in fact, they said, say something at the council meeting. If you have an ash tree that could be affected, you might want to be considering that now as just a public service and a service to yourself of get that tree out of your yard or get that tree treated or whatever you need there. I promised Cassandra, and who's the forestry? I forget her name. Anna. I promised them I'd have a little bit of a discussion about composting, and so you can tell them I had this discussion. And we have a wonderful composting facility here that helps our budget and helps our community. And part of that is responsible composting. We have the tabletop where you can put your food items, keeping your stormwater drain clean. I mean, it's right outside your home. All of this affects everyone in our community. We talked about what affects things in our community. Our retention ponds, keeping them clean and keeping oil. You know, if you get an oil spill in your driveway, clean up your oil spill. You don't want it running into the drains, into the river. We've talked quite about the project that's going on with the upstream, I guess, so to get some of the silt and some of the waste out of the river and out of the lakes here. And that's moving forward, and more information will be coming in about that. So as we move into summer, and this is the time where we're using things and we're washing things and all those other things, just be cognizant of the fact that any kind of chemical or anything you dump in your yard, or I saw somebody talking to somebody the other day, they put like 30 nitrate phosphate fertilizer on their yards. If you did a test for your nitrogen, you'd probably realize, or your phosphates, you'd probably realize they're already too high the way it is. And now you're just spending money to dump more onto your yard. Most of it runs into the stormwater, into the sewer system, and into the river, into the lakes, and you wonder why they turn green. So that's my spiel, because I was kind of arguing. I grew up on a farm, and we talk about farmers being stewards of the land. Be a steward of your yard, be a steward of your community, and take care of it. So thank you. I don't want to pontificate any longer, but sometimes we got to get the message out.
you still need people on the board, right?
Yes,
Correct? Or you're missing some members yet?
Two, we have one who's coming on, or we've talked to him and we're looking for another.
All right.
And then we have a couple reappointments also that I think was the next meeting will likely have, so there'll be a few.
All right. Because I remember you saying that you were a few members shy, so. All righty, that it?
Thank you.
Dave?
Nothing this evening.
All right. Pat?
The Public Arts Commission, we were short a couple, and we've got 2 people now, so we'll have a full commission. We'll introduce those next, or we'll approve them next council meeting.
This meeting, okay. All righty. I got a couple things, just brought to my attention by some of the bus drivers, said that, they had a few, people that, have not been stopping for stop arms, so just be aware that, when you see a bus on the road, just make sure that you are paying attention and stop for the stop arm, please. Walk and bike to school is the 6th, right? Give that a little plug. I know Chief Gifferson, you're walking again, correct? You got the short route again? I don't know, I wish I could've got in on that one, but I missed that one. Anyway, the other thing, probably if you've seen on Facebook, we had a little trouble with the, fountain in Library Square. I did talk to Lynn about that. You know, it's kind of sad that we can't have nice things sometimes, but it for that little prank that was $300 for the new filters that we have put in, and because of what they use for the soap, took the staff 16 hours to clean it up. So
It's not
maybe,
frustrating, it's disgusting.
well,
One day, the new,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know, what, was that a lot of fun? I hope they enjoyed it, cause what a joke.
Yeah,
I saw some comments, well, it's just bubbles, it's not a big deal. Well, once again, it's not just it's a water source that has a pump. Now you start damaging the pump, and then you can't just pour water back in there, because now you have to clean it back up. Like you said, you're looking at, when it's all said and done, $700, $800, $900 it costs taxpayers for that. And, we hear constantly, when it's down, why isn't it up and running? And probably 90% of the times over the last several years, it's because someone from the public damaged it. And so,
everybody thinks it's just a harmless prank, but I mean, that's 16 hours that our staff could have been doing something else, so, the other thing I wanted to mention is, May 20th is the start of skeeter spraying.
Yes.
So they'll, weather permitting, correct? And it's on Wednesdays usually then, Mike, right? So that's gonna happen, so otherwise, that's
Motion
it
to
for me.
adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Pat, second, hey Chad, to adjourn. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.